introducing you to them in a moment. Before I do that, though, it is my great pleasure to cede the floor to Guy Lévesque, who is our new Associate Vice President, Research Support and Infrastructure. Guy, is this day
16? Day
16. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us here today, and I'd like to invite everyone to join me in welcoming Guy to the podium.
Alors, merci Monica pour cette belle introduction, and thank you for the warm welcome, Day 16 and onwards and upwards. Donc, permettez-moi d'abord de vous souhaiter la plus cordiale des bienvenues à l'Université d'Ottawa, au Pavillon des Marais, et au dernier événement de l'Institut sur la science, la société et la politique publique. On l'a dit comme il faut. Cet après-midi va être un événement intéressant, plein d'idées, de chocs d'idées intéressantes, passionnées et passionnantes. The work of the ISSP, which I've been following secretly over the last several years in my former life, for those of you who know me in the audience, I've worked about 20 years in federal research funding and science policy, and the topic of today's panel is near and dear to my heart. Donc, the role of the ISSP is really to explore ideas at the interface of complex variables and parameters of society, science, technology, and the ramifications. And so it's so necessary today, and it will be tomorrow and the day after. So it's a great privilege for me to be here this afternoon with you to set the stage with a few introductory remarks on today's panel, Global Knowledge Society, A Promise in Peril. So for the last close to a decade, a number of themes and topics have been really driving my policy thinking around science and society and technology, and that's convergence. It's a new word. It's a word that replaces multidisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and it's been going on for a decade, a generation, a century, a millennium, an era. But it is an emerging trend that is really driven by the concept of having the means to solve very vexing problems that are rooted or anchored in societal problems and challenges. In particular, complex problems that entail integrating knowledge, methods, methodologies, languages, vocabularies, ontologies from different disciplines that form novel frameworks to look at things in a brand new way. And you'll hear our panelists talk about some of their experiences and some of their challenges to you over the course of this afternoon. And convergence is really research that is driven by a specific and compelling problem. It's also research that is driven by a deep integration of disciplines. And so convergence is something that's really driven research and collaboration, and in my work with the Canada Foundation for Innovation and Research Infrastructure and Space, it really was a very significant theme for me. And so from its inception, the convergence paradigm has really been one to bring together intellectually diverse communities, groups, partners, organizations to develop effective ways of communicating about specific problems and issues in a way that is relatable and understandable. So one way that I do that is taking advantage of my focus group, my two sons who are 22 and 18, and I talked to them about this afternoon's panel, and I picked just one topic from the news that was pretty timely last week, and that's how, what does Mars sound like? InSight records Martian wind for the first time. So over dinner on Sunday night with my boys, I put that topic on the table, and one of my sons is a skeptic, the other is a dreamer. So one of them said, wow, I wonder what Martian wind feels like on the skin. And by the way, Dad, when do you think people are actually going to go and be on Mars? My other son said, yeah, right, as if they know that's wind. You know, and probably some people will say that it's aliens or that it's some glitch in the computer, or maybe it's just a big conspiracy to get people to kind of think that Mars is kind of like Earth so that we can more easily move people off the planet Earth and onto Mars. And what what that really told me or spoke to me is that, the same set of information was read but very differently by my two sons, who were, I believe, genetically related to me. And it really drove home the point about the promise in peril, about how the tools and the technology and the science that allowed us or enabled us to go and find out that there was wind on Mars, bring that information back to Earth, and then disseminate it in a broad way to publics, informed, some informed, misinformed, or not wishing to be informed. And that really is the issue about the promise and the peril. And so at exactly the same time, you've got these conflicting ideas that are around kitchen tables, dinner tables, panels like this one today. And at that time, my two boys, who love each other, chose to disagree and thought that each other was just completely nuts. So let me turn to the moderator, the director of ISSP, Monica Ganninger, who will lead us in tonight's panel. And I hope that my thoughts around convergence will resonate with some of the challenges that you'll hear our distinguished guests and panel members speak. Thank you, everybody.